Thaddeus Holloway, who had always been cold toward me, suddenly approached me and chatted all night, just as I was about to tell him the good news that I was pregnant. I saw him with his arm around his childhood friend, Serafina Mercer, talking to the paparazzi. "Delete all the inappropriate photos you took of Serafina at the bar." The paparazzi smiled on the surface, but was unhappy inside. This was the big scoop I had spent days staking out to get of Serafina, unless you can offer something more sensational in exchange. Thaddeus tossed a stack of my private photos at him with a cold laugh. "Is this enough? I want private photos of the big star Alara. Can you give me the photos of Serafina you have?" The paparazzi's eyes lit up immediately. He quickly returned Serafina's photos to Thaddeus and deleted the backup data on his phone in front of him. Thaddeus took the photos, examined them carefully, and after confirming they were genuine, finally exhaled in relief. Then, without hesitation, he pulled out a lighter and burned the photos. "You don't have any backups, do you?" He glared coldly at the paparazzi. The paparazzi nodded frantically, his face full of flattery. "I never expected Mr. Holloway to be so generous. Willing to hand over your girlfriend's private photos. This is big news. Oh my, Alara's private photos? I never knew she was like this in private. This will definitely trend on social media." The servers are all down. The paparazzi smiled wickedly and picked up my photos again, examining them closely. "Keep your exclusive material safe. If I see any news about Serafina on the trending list, you'll know the consequences." After saying that, he whispered reassuringly to Serafina, "It's okay, no one will see them. It's all my fault for making you angry and causing you to go to the bar in a huff, where someone took these photos. Now I'm using Alara's photos as a trade, so you can rest assured." The burning photo in his hand revealed a small part, just a glimpse of a snow-white chest, and he was so nervous. But my naked photos were scattered all over the floor, and he didn't care at all. I know better than anyone where these photos came from. My heart felt like it was being trampled on dirty ground, and I felt like I was suffocating. Serafina asked with red, tearful eyes, "Isn't this too much? If these photos are made public, how will Alara's sister survive in the entertainment industry?" When my name was mentioned, the tenderness on Thaddeus's face vanished completely, replaced by impatience. If she hadn't deliberately said she had a stomachache and asked me to take her to the hospital, I wouldn't have missed the opportunity to be with you. And you wouldn't have gone to the bar out of anger. Even if she loses her reputation, it's her own fault. She deserves this. His words echoed in my mind like a bad thought. I walked home in a daze. A few days ago, I had acute appendicitis and was worried that taking a taxi would get me photographed by paparazzi, so I asked him to take me to the hospital. Unbeknownst to me, this delayed his visit to Serafina's set. Serafina, upset, went to the bar and called him, and he immediately left me to go find her. When he found out Serafina had passed out drunk and been photographed by paparazzi, Thaddeus didn't blame me. He just said, "Serafina was careless. Don't blame yourself too much." I foolishly thanked him for understanding. Little did I know he had already planned everything in his mind. That night, he seemed very eager for me. I thought he finally had feelings for me. So to make him happy, I awkwardly tried to change positions to please him. Little did I know that it was all a carefully orchestrated scheme to cover up Serafina's scandal. Suddenly, the words his brother had said when he was drunk flashed through my mind. Thaddeus treats Serafina like a treasure. If it weren't for Serafina wanting freedom and not wanting to be tied down by emotions, how could you have ever had a chance? I had always thought it was just his brother talking nonsense when he was drunk and didn't take it seriously. Now I finally understood that Thaddeus had always been thinking about these things. Being with me was merely a means to conceal his relationship with Serafina. The paparazzi obtained some sensational news and immediately uploaded it online. On the way home, passers-by glanced at me with their eyes, like invisible hands slowly peeling off my clothes, exposing me naked before everyone. The few kilometers I walked took only a few minutes. Upon arriving home, I immediately closed all the curtains, blocking out the sunlight, letting the darkness surround me. It felt like the only way to feel a little safe. The internet was filled with my private photos, along with many uncomfortable headlines and comments that made me uneasy. I threw my phone aside, unable to look any further. The phone rang. It was Thaddeus's ringtone. I answered nervously. However, what I heard wasn't concern but accusations. What's the deal with those photos online? Besides me, do you have other boyfriends? I denied it instinctively. Realizing the severity of the situation, my heart felt like it was being squeezed tightly, making it hard to breathe. He had used my private photos to exchange for Serafina's explicit photos, worried that I would suspect him, even confronting me in front of others to clear himself of suspicion. Thaddeus feigned nonchalance, saying that must have been an accidental leak, Alara. I didn't mean it that way. Don't overthink it. I believe you wouldn't do such a thing. Then he changed his tone and said, if Serafina finds out about this, she has many connections in the entertainment industry. She's arranged a dinner for you with some powerful PR people and brand executives. This could be beneficial for you. I'm not going, I said tremblingly. Thaddeus spoke firmly. Serafina is doing this for your own good. How can you be so ungrateful? He didn't seem happy and didn't give me a chance to refuse. He just said he'd come to pick me up later and hung up. The phone screen displayed my private photos. Filling the entire screen, major media companies began to accuse me. Passers-by started leaving comments. I always thought she looked so provocative. I never thought she'd finally get into trouble. What a cold, aloof flower. She's just someone desperate for attention. Whoever gives her resources, she'll follow them. I never thought it'd be so easy to get the goddess's private photos. It seems she's not as pure as she appears on the surface. She's really a promiscuous person in private. Meanwhile, many reports began praising Serafina for how self-respecting and pure she is. Everyone was saying that Serafina is the only Serafina in the industry, and her value is constantly rising. In comparison to her, everyone was praising Serafina's noble character. I couldn't take it anymore. I broke down, covering my face with my hands, digging my nails into my palms, but I couldn't feel the pain. Thaddeus came to my house. No matter how desperately I resisted, he grabbed my wrist and dragged me up forcefully. It was just some insults. You've been in the industry for so long. Can't you even handle something like this? I stared at him blankly. Back then, when some haters criticized Serafina, he immediately created a fake account to argue with them for days, and even contacted the PR team to handle the negative news about Serafina. But when I faced problems, he always dismissed them with a few casual words. Don't take it too seriously. Being criticized is normal for celebrities. You need to learn to manage your emotions. He then picked out a simple yet elegant dress from his wardrobe and threw it at me. Hurry up and get dressed. Don't delay Serafina's dinner. I grabbed his sleeve and looked at him with pleading eyes. Can't we just not go? I don't want everyone to see me like this. He hesitated for a moment, a hint of guilt flashing across his face, but after taking the call, that feeling seemed to vanish. Bro, has she arrived yet? The guests here have been waiting for a long time. If she doesn't come, how will we handle the rest? Thaddeus turned around and comforted me gently. I'm here with you. What are you worried about? Even though you can't be a star, you still have me. I'll marry you and make you Mrs. Jiang. He gently patted my back, giving me a promise. I felt like a puppet on a string, forced to change into the dress. The scene from that day kept flashing through my mind. Serafina leaned against his chest and said, as long as she's here, the audience won't see me. Thaddeus held her tightly with a look of pity. Then let everyone see how terrible she is. Thaddeus dragged me to a dinner party. Serafina shouted, you're finally here, Alara sister. Everyone turned to look at me, and Thaddeus let go of my hand. I felt several burning gazes sweeping over me, making me feel uncomfortable. They were whispering with obvious malice. What a celebrity, Alara. I heard she never participates in variety shows and just wants to focus on acting. Now look at her. Have you seen those photos? She must have begged a lot of people behind the scenes. She'll do anything for resources. I wonder how many men she's been with. She's so reckless. My back tensed up and I felt numb inside, trying to walk forward without drawing attention to myself. Serafina walked over, grabbed my hand, and introduced me. This is Mr. Wang from Honey Talk Company, and this is Director Lai. I just stared at her without saying a word. Everyone knew that Honey Talk sold lingerie, and Director Lai was known for directing films with female-centric themes. Mr. Wang's small eyes kept darting toward me, and his tone made me feel uneasy. I've also seen the photos recently. Alara's figure is truly stunning. If you're willing to collaborate with us, it's sure to be a huge hit, Director Lai added. Alara, have you ever considered switching directions in your career? I have a few good films in the pipeline. Their gaze was fixed on me, making me feel extremely uncomfortable and even a bit sick. No, thank you. Thaddeus noticed Serafina being ignored and frowned, reminding her, Serafina is just looking out for you. Your situation is already like this. Why are you being so picky? What's wrong with me? So I should listen to her and shoot underwear ads, then make a few more low-budget films, I retorted. Meeting Thaddeus's gaze, Serafina immediately looked very wronged, her eyes red. It's all my fault. Alara must be in a bad mood because of this. I was just being too concerned. Her reaction made Thaddeus even colder toward me. Look at how bad your reputation is now. You should just change directions sooner. Serafina has been trying so hard to help you, and you're talking to her like that. Go apologize to her right now. I should have seen this coming. He keeps Serafina's photos well protected, not letting anyone see them. Yet he lets my private photos circulate freely. In the end, it's because he doesn't care at all. I suppressed the hurt in my heart and remained silent. The producers and directors, seeing Thaddeus's attitude toward me, seemed excited, as if they wanted to take advantage of the situation to test me. I felt like a lamb among wolves, unsure of what to do, only able to look at them helplessly. What's more, Wang Zong was holding a glass of wine and forcing me to drink. My situation is very dangerous. After a long silence, I tightly gripped Thaddeus's hand and whispered, I'm pregnant. I can't drink. I hoped he would consider the child and not let me get into trouble. Thaddeus froze for a moment, a hint of hesitation flashing in his eyes. Just as he was about to speak, Serafina stepped in front of me and said, Sister, with all those photos exposed, how can you be sure the child in your womb is she didn't finish? But everyone understood her meaning. Then she added with concern, Pregnant women shouldn't drink. Let me help you rest. Serafina gripped my hand tightly, her expression clearly displeased, after we had walked out of his sight. Serafina whispered, How do you feel? How does it feel to have your private photos exposed to everyone? I was just taken by a fan at the bar, and Thaddeus was so worried. Do you think Thaddeus is with you because of what you did? I just wanted to take some private photos of you to boost my popularity. She couldn't help but laugh. Although I already knew it, hearing her say it out loud still made me feel terrible. I was planning to ruin your reputation today to prove you don't care about yourself. But I never expected you to be pregnant. Her gaze fixed on my stomach. Her eyes betrayed a look of cruelty. She pretended to gently stroke my stomach, but her fingers tightened, as if she wanted to harm the child inside me. I felt a sharp pain and struggled to escape. At that moment, Serafina suddenly tore open the neckline of her dress, grabbed my phone, and took several photos of her bare chest. Then she began to scream and cry. Thaddeus rushed in almost immediately. Serafina covered her neckline and cried bitterly, her fingers trembling as she pointed at me. I was just trying to let Alara rest, but she suddenly rushed over and demanded to know why only her private photos were being exposed. She said her reputation was ruined, while mine was getting better, and she was sure it was my fault. She wanted me to feel the same pain. Thaddeus quickly took off his jacket and covered Serafina tightly, making sure no skin was exposed. In an instant, he was consumed by rage, his gaze fixed on me. Alara Whitfield, you've gone too far. I always thought you were just careless, but I never expected you to be so cruel. I never thought I had even a shred of sympathy for you just now. He no longer looked at me, turning instead to the men who had been waiting to approach, whispering a few words to them. His voice was as cold as ice, like a hammer striking my heart. Do whatever you want, just don't go too far. I stared in shock, shaking my head violently. Thaddeus held Serafina in one arm, kicked me away with his other foot, and walked away without looking back. Several fierce men were staring at me from behind, making me feel utterly hopeless. A despicable man rushed over, grabbed my ankle, and pulled me toward him. I felt like a piece of meat being tossed around, completely helpless. Why was this happening to me? Why did I have to endure this? Filled with resentment and anger, I reached out and grabbed a shard of the broken vase beside me, clutching it tightly, and stabbed it fiercely at the man in front of me. Taking advantage of their confusion, I rushed toward the door without hesitation. A sharp pain surged through my lower abdomen, growing more intense by the second, making it almost unbearable. The little life I had been carefully nurturing inside me seemed to be slipping away quickly. I felt a wetness between my thighs. I frantically pulled out my phone, my fingers trembling, and dialed the emergency number with all my strength. When I came to, I found myself in the hospital. I instinctively touched my lower abdomen, feeling it flat and empty. On the TV, a reporter was interviewing Thaddeus. "What are your thoughts on the recent private photos of your girlfriend, Alara? Is the man in the photos? You, our reporters, saw her at the obstetrics ward today. Is this child yours?" Thaddeus stared coldly at the screen and said softly, "I don't know." As his boyfriend, his denial only made my reputation worse. Even his own boyfriend went to confront her personally. I don't think she has any defense left. Serafina is known as the purest rising star in the entertainment industry. Serafina has suddenly become everyone's goddess. I stared at the TV for a long time. On my phone, Thaddeus kept sending messages. "I believe you've also paid a heavy price for this. Now that Serafina isn't angry anymore, don't go online for a while. Wait until things calm down before considering a comeback." Is he worried about me getting hurt? Or afraid I'll say something bad about Serafina? I smiled slightly, though my heart was heavy. I pulled out the Roman 4 drip in my hand and slowly walked out of the room. He looked at me with a disdainful gaze, as if watching a play. I felt exhausted, so I sent Thaddeus a message. I lost my phone and flew back to my hometown with my ticket. At the press conference, the reporters kept asking Thaddeus, "Are you really unaware of who the father of your girlfriend Alara's child is?" The reporter said he had taken photos of her leaving a banquet where many producers and directors were present. When she ran out, her legs were covered in blood. Thaddeus stopped in his tracks, turned around, and looked at the reporter. "What did you just say?" He felt a bit irritated for some reason. It was Alara who caused the trouble. There was nothing wrong with giving her a lesson. However, when he imagined punishing Alara, he didn't feel the expected sense of satisfaction, but instead felt a bit uneasy. He took the reporter's phone and opened the video. In the footage, Alara was clutching her stomach, her dress torn and disheveled, her face covered in tears and panic. She stumbled and ran, pleading for help from those around her, but everyone avoided her as if she were a monster. She fell to the ground, and the bright red color beneath her dress was visible. For some reason, Thaddeus felt a sudden emptiness in his heart, and his chest felt tight. He took out his phone, intending to call Alara. The screen lit up, and he noticed an unread message from Alara in the notification bar. His fingers hovered over the screen, hesitating, unsure if he dared to open it. Numerous possibilities flashed through his mind. Alara might be scolding him angrily in the message, or she might be crying and complaining about how she was wronged, demanding to know why he was treating her this way. But he told himself that she was the one who had wronged Serafina first, and he was just reminding her to be cautious. Besides, he had only told those people to scare her, not to actually harm her. Right? Thaddeus took a deep breath and told himself to open the message. There were no long accusations or heated questions in the message. Just two simple, calm, and somewhat cold lines. "I know you leaked my private photos. Thaddeus, let's break up." He froze, clearly shocked by the message. He felt weak all over, barely able to stand upright without leaning against the wall. Alara had known all along that he had personally handed over the private photos to the paparazzi. She knew everything. Thaddeus was confused. The reporters kept asking questions. Thinking about the recent incident with Alara's private photos, the reporter's face betrayed a look of contempt. Was it because Alara's private photos were exposed that she became so reckless and ended up having an abortion with someone else? The reporter muttered to himself, completely unaware of Thaddeus's worsening expression. Thaddeus shouted angrily, "Enough! Which entertainment company are you from? Have some professional ethics. Don't spread unverified information." He grabbed the reporter's ID badge and threw it to the ground. "Shanksing Entertainment, you're done." The reporter was so scared that his face turned pale, and he dared not say another word. Thaddeus pushed aside the people blocking him and walked back in a daze, not even noticing when Serafina had appeared. Serafina pulled on his sleeve and said in a spoiled tone, "I'm really a little scared, Thaddeus." She snuggled into Thaddeus's arms. Alara tore my clothes and scratched me, saying she wouldn't let me off. I didn't expect her to do that, trying to drag me into it. Thank goodness you showed up in time. The scratches are clearly visible, swollen and red, looking quite terrifying. Thaddeus seemed not to hear her, his body stiff, not comforting her as he usually did. Seraphina's heart tightened, and she tried calling out again. Thaddeus suddenly snapped out of it, pushing her away forcefully. His eyes turned sharp as he stared at her and demanded, "Why are you accusing Alara?" Seraphina felt tense, a hint of panic flashing across her face before she quickly composed herself. "I didn't accuse her. Look at my wounds." "She scratched me," she said, but Thaddeus just scoffed. "Alara never does her nails. How could she have scratched you like this?" He held Seraphina's hand, and there were still faint traces of blood on his nails. Everything was clear. Seraphina was obviously staging this. She hadn't expected Thaddeus to see through it. Tears welled up in her eyes instantly. "I'm sorry, Thaddeus. I just didn't want you to soften your heart toward her again. I only want you to belong to me." She cried like a lost little girl. If it had been any other time, Thaddeus might have softened, but now he only felt annoyed, a sudden wave of nausea washing over him. He forcefully shook off Seraphina's hand. "You think I don't know? This banquet was actually arranged specifically for her, with the intention of humiliating her. Those people were also called over by you, weren't they?" Seraphina shook her head frantically. Thaddeus felt that this innocent-looking girl was not as simple as he had thought. He had not only wronged Alara, but also caused them to do such things to her. Thinking about everything that had happened at the banquet, he regretted it so much he couldn't speak. He wanted to find Alara and explain everything to her. Even if Alara hit or scolded him, as long as she could calm down, he would accept it. Thaddeus found out which hospital Alara was in. But when he arrived, the bed where she should have been lying was empty. Where did everyone go? The nurse looked surprised, glanced at the removed Roman 4 needle, and said, "This isn't right. She just had a D&C procedure and should still be hospitalized for a while." Those words hit Thaddeus like a thunderbolt. "What did you say?" The nurse said impatiently. She was already miscarried when she was brought in today. Unfortunately, it wasn't completely removed, so another D&C is needed. "Are you her boyfriend?" "We told her to contact her friends and family, but she said it was fine and she could sign the consent form herself." The nurse was a woman in her 40s who didn't know much about the celebrity Alara and wasn't concerned about the private photos. In her heart, she felt that Alara was just a pitiful woman who had to endure the miscarriage and D&C alone. She said with some dissatisfaction, "I said, you're her boyfriend, right? Your girlfriend went through a miscarriage, and you're not even by her side. Don't you have any sense of responsibility?" Thaddeus leaned against the wall and slowly sat down. He took out his phone, found Alara's contact information, and dialed without hesitation. Thaddeus called several times, but no one answered. His hands trembled more and more. Alara had just undergone surgery and was very weak. Could she have gone somewhere? Could something have happened? He was filled with anxiety. Should he go home? Thaddeus suddenly stood up, ran out of the hospital, and drove to Alara's apartment. As he rode the elevator, his palms were sweating profusely from nervousness. Upon arriving at the door, Thaddeus knocked, but there was no response. He took out the spare key, opened the door, and found no one inside. He searched through several rooms but couldn't find Alara anywhere. Thaddeus felt his worries finally ease. He sat helplessly on the living room carpet, still unwilling to give up, and dialed Alara's agent's phone number. "Has Alara contacted you? Do you know where she is now?" On the other end of the line, the agent's voice sounded tired and helpless. "Mr. Holloway, Alara hasn't contacted me. Since the press conference ended, her phone has been unreachable. I'm so worried, and the company is driving me crazy." She paused, her tone complex. "Mr. Holloway, this incident has had a significant impact on Alara. She had worked so hard, and it was almost within reach, but she didn't continue, though her meaning was clear." After hanging up, Thaddeus felt completely drained, lying dejectedly on the large bed. He recalled the day he took Alara's photos, though she was nervous. She had tried her best to make him happy and cooperated actively. She had curled up in his arms like a kitten. She gently traced her fingers along his eyebrows and asked him cautiously if he would always be kind to her. Thaddeus suddenly closed his eyes, feeling a wave of oppression in his heart. Then he closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and greedily inhaled the scent of Alara in the air. I had returned to my hometown. It wasn't as bustling as the big city, but it was peaceful and serene, and there were my beloved parents. They didn't know what I had gone through, but they were just happy that their daughter could stay by their side for a long, long time. Dad, Mom, seeing their familiar and warm faces, I felt a lump in my throat and couldn't help but cry. They hugged me tightly, not asking what had happened, just giving me warmth with their embrace. The people here are very simple and don't know that I'm the famous actress Alara who was so badly criticized online. After settling down, my mood became unusually calm. I thought to myself that the money I've earned over the years is enough to live here for the rest of my life. I have no idea how things have developed regarding my situation. I also don't know if Thaddeus will post more of my photos online, but this time, I'm mentally prepared. No matter what happens, I won't let it hit me too hard. I opened my phone and noticed that the topic about Alara's private photos had disappeared, along with all related discussions. I checked my private messages, which were mostly supportive and comforting, though there were also some critical comments. These messages said, Alara, being photographed like that isn't your fault. You're also a victim. We will always support you and love you. We've already helped your sister report it to the police. I won't allow such an outstanding girl to be harmed like this. Even under the malicious attack videos targeting me, my fans responded to each comment. The photos only show Alara's figure. There's no part of the man. How dare you say she's immoral? Does that mean we can't date? Seeing so many heartwarming messages from friends explaining things for me, I felt less helpless. I sent everyone a message saying I'm okay and thanking them for their support and love all along. I also attached a photo. I never expected that photo would lead Thaddeus to find my address. At the time, I was in the yard taking care of my flowers. A luxurious stretch limousine pulled up at the entrance of the yard. The man hurried over to me, his eyes filled with surprise. Alara, you're really here. He looked like he truly loved me. I turned to go back inside, but Thaddeus grabbed my wrist tightly and pleaded. Don't go, Alara. I turned back and looked at him with a mocking expression. Staring into his eyes, I asked him slowly, what do you want this time? You still think the punishment wasn't enough and want to find some people to strip me naked and take more photos? Thaddeus's eyes filled with sadness. He swallowed hard, his voice sounding bitter. No, that wasn't you. I was wrong to accuse you. He looked at my abdomen with a pained expression. Child, I'm sorry. I turned my face away, not wanting to look at him. It's better that the child is gone. If he knew what his father did to his mother, he wouldn't want to come into this terrible family. Besides, isn't it exactly what you wanted? No, he was just upset. When I found out you were pregnant, I was truly happy. I just didn't expect Serafina to frame you like that. I acted impulsively and let them get away with it. Enough. I don't want to think about what happened that day anymore. I really don't want to hear anymore. Just leave. Lara, it's all my fault. I'm sorry. Thaddeus pleaded earnestly. Can you give me another chance to make it up to you? His eyes were filled with hope. I looked at him and felt very uncomfortable. I pushed her hand away. We've already broken up. Can you stop clinging to me? Can we not break up? Those photos, I've had them all deleted, and the original data is gone too. No one can find them now, seeing him go to such lengths to explain. I couldn't help but laugh. So what? Am I supposed to pretend nothing ever happened? You helped me delete those photos, and now I'm supposed to be grateful to you. He opened his mouth to say something, but in the end, no words came out. Back in the room, I thought about the past. At the time, I was just an unknown actress. And Thaddeus always stood up for me when others caused trouble for me. That's when I fell in love with him. I worked hard to act well so I could be worthy of him. He accepted my confession, and I felt like the happiest person in the world. He told me Serafina was his childhood friend, just like a sister, so I didn't think much of it. However, I later discovered that he was with me only to hide his relationship with Serafina. His true nature was selfish, hypocritical, cold, and heartless. He used my private photos to reassure Serafina, thinking I was intentionally hurting her, and let them humiliate me. It took me 5 years to finally see his true colors. Thaddeus stood outside my house all day and night. The next morning, when I opened the door, he was pale, soaked through with rain. Alara. I glanced at him, feeling nothing, and walked past him out of the yard. The flowers in the yard were even more vibrant after last night's rain. I helped my mom pick some to make dried flowers. Thaddeus followed me, like an obedient little dog, hoping I would glance at him one more time. I called the police immediately, intending to sue Thaddeus legally, accusing him of secretly taking my private photos and collaborating with paparazzi to slander my reputation. Thaddeus looked at me in disbelief and asked, "Alara, are you going to send me to prison?" I replied calmly, "Isn't that what should happen? For someone like Thaddeus, I had to make him pay for his actions." The police handled it quickly, and Thaddeus was taken away shortly after. Mom stood behind me. She must have known everything. She and Dad held my hands together. "Alara, why didn't you tell Dad and Mom about something so big?" Mom looked at me with tears of sorrow in her eyes. "It's okay, Mom and Dad. It's all over now." I smiled at them and hugged them tightly. During my recovery, I was hurt by what happened with Thaddeus, but my fans and parents helped me heal over time. This is my safe haven. Now I'm stronger. I'll stand up and make Thaddeus and those who hurt me face the consequences of their actions. I logged into my account and posted a message. The police will provide an answer to everyone regarding all the issues. My fans all supported me. This is the right thing to do, Alara. We all support you. However, some people were saying I was fabricating the story to clear my name, but I don't care at all. While I was working with the police to verify the evidence, Serafina suddenly burst in, pointing at me and shouting, "Alara, you actually want to send Thaddeus to prison. Drop the charges against him immediately." I looked her straight in the eye and said, "You won't get away with this either." When Serafina first debuted, many negative rumors were suppressed by Thaddeus. That's how she maintained her good image in the industry. I posted all the evidence I had of her collusion with Thaddeus online, which caused a huge stir. Everyone knows that Thaddeus and Serafina were childhood friends. Once the photos were released, they sparked a massive backlash. Many netizens started accusing them. Oh my God, they're so shameless. I always noticed how shy Serafina would get whenever she mentioned Thaddeus, but I never imagined they were already together. The other woman, "This is disgusting. This couple is truly despicable." Serafina was completely overwhelmed and called me to warn me, but there was nothing else she could do. Without Thaddeus's protection, she spoke very emotionally online. "We've been childhood friends since we were kids. There's nothing wrong with that. Can you please stop talking about this?" Surprisingly, Serafina's explanation only fueled the discussion even more. Not only did she not receive understanding from the netizens, but she was also labeled as the other woman. "Haha, if you claim you're innocent, then you must be the one meddling in Thaddeus and Alara's relationship. So you're the third wheel. I get it now. What a terrible couple. Truly a match made in hell. The entertainment industry really has some seemingly innocent people who are actually quite despicable." Serafina, feeling provoked, said emotionally, "The one who isn't loved is the third wheel. Thaddeus doesn't have any feelings for Alara. Otherwise, why would he expose her private photos for me?" She panicked and quickly deleted them, but many sharp-eyed netizens saw them and shared them. Oh my God. It's astonishing that Thaddeus took Alara's private photos just to suppress Serafina's sensational news. She actually dared to say that. Hurting an innocent girl, I truly feel sorry for Alara. After all this turmoil, Alara is truly the most pitiful one. The tide has turned. Everyone has started to sympathize with my situation. Even those who previously attacked me and bystanders are now supporting me. They actively destroyed my photos one by one. Everyone quietly boycotted all of Serafina's works, and even her upcoming TV series was canceled. Serafina and Thaddeus in prison have both become the scapegoats of the public. During this time, Serafina tried every possible way to make a comeback, but she was met with a lot of criticism. Without Thaddeus's support, she had no choice but to seek out the Wang Zong and Lai Dao who had once tried to harm me. However, to her surprise, her efforts yielded nothing, and she was even confronted by their wives, leading to a major scandal. After these events, I felt more free and began to take on bolder roles, eventually winning the Best Actress award for one of them. Thaddeus spent the next few years in prison, while Serafina continued to work hard, but her mental state began to deteriorate. Every time she was photographed by paparazzi, her expression looked very dejected. During his time in prison, Thaddeus desperately wanted to see me. His company had gotten into trouble, causing the stock price to plummet, and eventually it declared bankruptcy. His behavior had made his fellow inmates very hostile, and on several occasions they nearly beat him to death in a fit of rage. I agreed to meet him. He looked weathered, with gray hair beginning to show, and he limped as he walked, apparently injured. "Alara, you finally agreed to see me. In prison, I've been reflecting on my mistakes. I'm sorry." He knelt before me, but I felt calm inside. All of that is in the past for me. I didn't accept his apology and turned to leave. But they deserved it. I didn't let winning the award go to my head. I kept working hard. I wanted everyone who supported me to see that I was shining.